All right, I think it is noon. So let us begin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the Jackson Growth Alliance Introduction to Resources for Business Success in Southern Illinois. My name is Brian Chapman, and I'm your host today. And let me begin by thanking the Carbondale Public Library, Jennifer Robertson, for helping to put on today's webinar. So Jennifer, thank you so much. We'll go now to our welcome and agenda. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what Jackson Growth Alliance is, a little bit about our investors. We'll make some quick introductions, and then we'll get into the heart of today's program, resources for small business success in Southern Illinois. And we're so honored to have Kim Watson and Ken Stoner with us. I'll make introductions for them. We'll wrap it up with some questions for the presenters. We'll do a community leader update. We'll talk a little bit about membership and how you can become a member of JGA, and then we'll close it out. So really appreciate all of you logging in today and being a part of this exciting presentation. So let me tell you a little bit about what Jackson Growth Alliance is about. So we're an economic development body then created to represent and to advocate and advance Jackson County through retention, growth, and attraction efforts in businesses. We are active, we're engaged, and we think we're making a difference. Our public members are both public and private. We're a non-for-profit. Our contributors have an invested interest in the success of Jackson County, and we have a dynamic board. We have open membership as well. Each year, we encourage new members to join our efforts. And from these members, then we select our board members. We have some dynamic and impressive members and contributors, including the Southern Illinois Airport Association Authority, SIH, right, SIU, Egyptian Electric Cooperative, and the list goes on. First Bank and Trust, First Southern Bank, Country Financial, Fager McGee, Joni Beth Bailey Law Office, Admiral Parkway, the City of Carbondale, the City of Murfreesboro, Jackson County government, and there's more. So I want to say, and I have to have a shout out for our board chair, Brooke Guthman. She's the member service manager at Egyptian Electric Cooperative and just does a fantastic job. So Brooke, thank you for all that you do. Our board members, we have a dynamic and a powerhouse of a board. We have Lynn Anderson Lindbergh from Southern Illinois University, Joni Beth Bailey from Bailey Law Office, Kevin Clark from the Southern Illinois University Foundation, John Dozier, First Southern Bank President, Brad Fager, representing the City of Murfreesboro, and also a founder of Fager McGee, Sarah Gray, Southern Illinois Healthcare, Jamie Green, Country Financial Services, Brooke, who I've just introduced her to you, Steve Mitchell, Economic Development Director for the City of Carbondale, Tamiko Mueller, Jackson County Board Member, and Gary Schaefer, the manager of the Southern Illinois Airport Authority. I would like to say thank you to all of you. You make up Jackson Growth Alliance, and you are a reason why Jackson Growth Alliance is so successful. Well, with that, let us begin our showcase. We'll start with Kim Watson. Kim is a senior account manager with the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. She's been with DCEO since 2004. Kim serves the southern region of Illinois, 19 counties, as the liaison between local government and businesses to the state in areas such as infrastructure, financial incentives, and workforce assistance. She has over 35 years of experience working with community and economic development in Southern Illinois. A fun fact about Kim, she loves to kickbox. She says she has to keep her kids on their toes, and she likes yoga. But her best time is spent then on the Ohio River in her cabin with her family and friends. And I'm very pleased to call Kim Watson a friend of mine. Kim, can you take it away and tell us a little bit about the programs that you have to offer through DCEO?
Certainly. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the kind introduction. Again, I serve the 19 southern counties, which is basically Mount Vernon South, so a fairly large region. Within our agency, it is geographically the largest region. So next slide, please. This is our mission, to offer a mix of financial incentives, grants, skill trainings, and other programming to help companies achieve their goals. So that is the basis of the work that we do. Next slide. And this kind of gives you an overview of how we work with the businesses. Sometimes a business will come to us looking for a site location. Sometimes they're needing some infrastructure assistance. Sometimes they need financing, or maybe it's a workforce issue. Anyway, we collect the information from the business on what their needs are, and then we look at the host of programs that we have within our agency and also within other state and federal agencies to see how we can start filling their needs. Like with site selection, we work with Intersect Illinois to help in that process. I think many of you are on our list for when we have an RFI out. We also, connect them then to workforce partners like the LWIAs. Ken is on here with the SBDC and Lynn with the Office of Regional Economic Development. Sometimes it's a connection to them. So next slide, please. And I'm gonna try and stay pretty high level. If you have questions, I will try to answer those. But this is a mix of programs that are available out there. Each one usually has anywhere from a half a day to a day workshop on it. So many of them are very complex. I know some of you are already familiar with some of them because I've worked with you on those. For example, the EDGE program, the Economic Development for a Growing Economy, that's a 10-year program for businesses making investment and creating jobs where they can get their Illinois tax income back over a 10-year period. So, that's one that we would like to utilize a little more in this region. We have done some and are currently working on a couple right now. So next slide, please. And these programs are geared more to the small businesses, maybe your mom and pop stores, that kind of thing. And of course, during the past year, we've had a real need for programs for those type of businesses, and we've stood up some COVID-19 recovery programs as well. We currently are coming toward the end of the program for the current NOFO that's out there for small businesses, and are still taking applications. There was a round of announcements announced this morning on that one. And again, this is some of our partners, the Small Business Development Centers, the PTACs, that we work with to assist the small businesses. And we make investments in those to support their activities. Next slide, please. Okay, again, these are some things regarding workforce. Most of our programs are going to fit within backing up just a little bit, within 5 different programs, being economic development, community development, workforce, film, and tourism. So this is the workforce side of that. And we work with our partners there at the LWIAs and our partners within DCO on the workforce side. Next slide, please. And these are some of the services for film and tourism. We do have a current NOFO out for tourism attractions and tourism festivals. And that's opened right now. We are having a webinar on that this afternoon if anyone is interested. And so and then under this, we also support the local regional tourism convention bureaus. So next slide, please. And then this is the part regarding community development. I'd say probably the most recognizable program there is the Community Development Block Grant. That has 3 components. It has the housing rehabilitation, has an economic development component, and then a public infrastructure component. Many of our communities have utilized that public infrastructure component, and that allows them to make upgrades with their water and sewer systems. With the economic development component, you're looking at something that would possibly be an upgrade for any kind of public facilities to support a business expansion. Also under that, we can use it to buy equipment directly for the business. That one tops out at 1 million. We do have a few of those being worked on at the moment. So we also act in conjunction with IDOT and work with them on any needed road expansions or extensions or improvements. Next slide, please. And I figured I'd be pretty quick. So there's my contact information. Happy to assist in any way. So you know where to find me. Thank you.
Kim, thank you for that presentation. There's a lot of information there, and we will be sharing this presentation through the Carbondale Public Library website. So it's being recorded. You can, for all of our participants, you can go back and review it. And if you have any questions of our presenters, please go ahead and use the Q&A and or chat box, and I'll be checking that. Kim, I do have 3 quick questions for you. Are you able to take them now?
I'll try.
Okay, can you tell us, the audience, what a NOFO is? You used that term a couple of times. What is a NOFO?
Notice of funding opportunity.
Very good. And so we can find those on your website.
Yes, they are on the website sometime. And if you want to be included on my email list for my newsletter, which comes out weekly, send me your contact information if you're not already receiving it.
You know, that's a great idea, Kim. I'm a recipient of your newsletter, and every time I open it, there's something new in there. So thank you for that service. And so if you're not a member, not subscribing, please do so. I recommend it to all of you. 2 more quick things then. Can you tell us a little bit, as Southern Illinois, we're leaking our 18 to 35-year-old. It looks like you have several different programs designed to address that. Can you tell me just a little bit about the apprenticeship tax program?
That is usually a partnership between the local workforce board and an individual business. And we work with them to identify what their needs are and, you know, forecasting what future needs are, and they're using that program to develop the future workforce for those businesses. Right now, there is a lot of money in workforce. So now's the time to strike on looking at those programs and see how which ones we can make fit. We do have a new NOFO that's either out or coming out regarding, it's called JTED, and it's additional workforce programs.
Very nice. And then I'm going to also assume the child care assistance program is something that's utilized as well.
Yes, and that's under the workforce programs as well.
Great. Well, I'm just thinking both of those programs have a direct impact on us trying to retain our citizenship here in Southern Illinois and attract new members. So fantastic.
Yes, you're under Mantricon as far as your LWIA, and they do an excellent job of working with the businesses and trying to meet those workforce needs. So I'm sure, if you need me to connect you, or you probably are, most of you already know Kathy Lively.
Yeah, we do. And she does a fantastic job. We're blessed to have her. So Kim, thank you. We may have some questions coming your way as well. Oh, hey, we have one here. I'm interested in the tourism grant. I've contacted Kim and do receive their newsletter. Let's see. I'm with the Illinois Heartland Library System. Several of our libraries all over Southern Illinois do a library crawl. We would like to expand and also promote local businesses in the library community. Could we get some money to help with our project for next year? What do you think, Kim?
Well, I'd certainly be happy to talk to you, Anna, and see what we can do. I don't know if you've signed up for the webinar this afternoon. I believe it's at 2:00. That is specifically on the tourism. So that might be of assistance to you. And then if you, want to discuss it farther, I'd be happy to chat with you or meet you, whatever works best.
Excellent. Thank you, Anna. And Anna says she does not have that link to register. So
I'll see if I can put it in the chat or send it directly, and I'll try and send it directly to her as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. And Tamiko would like to have the link as well. So if you could put that in the chat, that would be fantastic, Kim. Very good. All right. I'm not at this particular moment seeing any other chats. I see some thank yous. Well, let's move forward then with Ken Stoner. Ken also, I'm pleased to say, is a friend of mine. He's a small business specialist working at the Illinois Small Business Development Center at SIU. Ken actively works with small businesses in Illinois as a former educator and a business owner. He brings real life experience and works hard to turn that into advising and training that is both actionable and result driven. He leads workshops on starting a business in Illinois. He leads workshops on getting your business online. He works trade show best practices. He does 3D modeling and printing, and he's an expert in many other topics. He has 8 years with SBDC. He's worked with over 1,000 new and existing business owners in the region, and many of you that are on today's webinar know Ken and have utilized his services. Ken serves on the board for the Jackson CEO program, whereby he helps then mold young entrepreneurs into strong business owners. He's a lifetime resident of Southern Illinois. A couple of fun facts about Ken. Ken loves to scuba dive, and he's done dives on reefs, shipwrecks, and even shark dives. And then lastly, Ken, you didn't know this, but I've noticed you've named your Jeep in the parking lot Murdoch. Ken, take it away.
Well, thank you so much. And I just want to say I'm honored to get to be a part of this group. I looked at that list of board members and was just blown away. I mean, Jackson Growth Alliance has had a strong presence in the region, and we even had we have the JGA office here at Dunn Richmond all the way back to Jeff Doherty's time. So really just very pleased to get to be a part of this. So I'm going to talk about quite a few different things today. Want to say up front, Anna, that library crawl sounds really cool. My wife is the director of the Ann West Lindsay District Library in Carterville, and so we are all about libraries in our house. And so that sounds like a really neat thing. And I wanted to ask if that's open to the public or if that's library staff only. So yeah, if you don't mind, let me know. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so let's dig into it. I want to say up front that I heard talking about the fact that we're losing some of our best and brightest from the region. And so I want to mention the Jackson CEO program because as Brian mentioned, I am on the board. I'm the former facilitator. I'm very involved. Got to speak to him Tuesday, which is just always a phenomenal opportunity. And one of the main reasons for that program to exist is to try and get these young people to see just all the amazing things that our region, specifically Jackson County, has to offer, and hopefully keep them here and have businesses that start as a result of this program. And one of the big parts of the program itself is doing tours of local businesses or having the business owners come in and speak to the group. And so if anybody in here is interested, of course, you'll have my contact information, and please reach out to me and I'll get you connected with Nick Skovgaard, who's the facilitator of Jackson CEO, because we're always looking for business owners or people who have these experiences to come in and talk about what they've gone through, share some of the real life components of starting a business. And it's an incredible opportunity. If you haven't spoken to this group, it's unlike anything you will have ever experienced. As Brian mentioned, I'm a former classroom teacher, so I have a lot of experience with working with high school age kids, and I'll just be perfectly honest and say it's not always the greatest experience. And you won't run into that with Jackson CEO. It's a great group, it's a great program, and I would encourage all of you to get involved. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Loved getting to talk about it. And so one of the things I want to hit on today, and I'm going to start my timer, is because I can be a little bit verbose. And so I want to make sure that I don't take any more than, what was it, Brian, 3-4 hours I have, right? I'm kidding. I know I'll keep it 20-30 minutes max. But I want to walk through a little bit about what we do here. So the first slide here, you can see that's the Dunn-Richmond Economic Development Center. And as you can see from the logo, that is where the SIU's Office of Innovation and Economic Development lives. And I know Kim mentioned it earlier as the Office of Economic and Regional Development. And so some of you may know it under that name. That's the previous name. But we are now the Innovation Center, or the Department of Innovation and Economic Development. So all sorts of cool things take place in this building. It's just it's an incredible environment. It's a great collaborative space where people come in and they work together, and there's all sorts of programs that go on. So it's a really neat place. If you haven't gotten to visit Dunn-Richmond before and are interested in a tour, let me know. I'm happy to show you around because it's unlike any other place I've ever worked. So if you don't mind going on to the next slide, please. So as Brian mentioned, I am with the Illinois Small Business Development Center at SIU, and we have just a great team here with a variety of different areas of expertise, but we are also a part of the larger network. So Kim being a part of DCEO, we are also a part of DCEO and tapped into the Illinois Small Business Development Center network through them. But we also are a part of the America's SBDC network of the whole country. And we do all sorts of, work with different businesses. And as I said, we have lots of different areas of expertise on staff, but being a part of these larger networks opens us up to being able to connect people with others if we don't have what they need in-house. So we do have a national conference. I just got to speak at that last week, which was a lot of fun. So as I'm talking through all of this today, I want you to know up front that what I'm going to tell you is not all encompassing. If you have questions or you need help that I don't discuss what your specific need is, let me know, because I tried my best to make this as all-encompassing as possible, but there's no way to succeed in that without taking that 3 to 4 hours that I mentioned earlier. So if you could go on to the next slide, please. So a couple things about the SBDC up front. There is no cost to to working with us at all. We could meet once, we could meet 100 times. At no point is there ever any cost to working with us. All of that is covered. We're funded at the federal level through the SBA, at the state level through DCEO, and at the local level through SIU. And so all of those costs are already covered, meaning that at no point will I ever require your credit card if you're working with us. The other thing that I want to mention that's super important is the confidentiality. We take confidentiality very seriously here, and so that way, people who come in don't have to worry about what they're sharing in our offices. And I'll get a little bit in intellectual property protection a little bit later on, but that's particularly important if you're dealing with intellectual property, patents, trademarks. But apart from that, I mean, we have people who come in and we look at their actual tax returns, and again, I'll hit on that here in a little bit, but nothing that is ever shared in this office leaves this office. The only thing that I want to mention on that is the confidentiality extends to everybody in our office. So, and of course, as I said, we all have different areas of expertise. So, you could talk to me and work with me, or you could work with Greg Bouhl, our director. So we've got quite a few of us here, and regardless of to whom you are speaking at our office, you're covered under confidentiality. Now, we do our best to try and have all of our trainings be no cost. But there are times that we have to pass certain costs on. If we bring a speaker in from across the country because he or she is an expert, a subject matter expert, sometimes, if you attend that seminar, there might be a low cost to go along with it. But the vast majority of our training is all done at no cost as well. So what does the SBDC do? And that is a very difficult question to answer, and it's one that I get regularly. And so we have this assist entrepreneurs starting or growing businesses. And many of you may have already heard of the SBDC, but we hear quite a few different misconceptions about the SBDC. We only work with startups. We only work with existing businesses. We don't work with inventors. None of that is true. We work with any business that is based in Illinois. Our only limitation is we're limited to working with small businesses. And we go with the SBA's definition on that of fewer than 500 employees. And 500 employees is a large business. So, even though it's a small business development center, if you've got 490 employees and you're running a large business, you still fall into that category and we can still help. So if you would go on to the next slide, please. So we all know the importance of small business. We hear about it all the time. Small businesses are the backbone of America. But what does it mean that they're important? So let's take a quick look at that. And I'll tell you, I did a ton of research into this when I was doing my master's, and I even working here, I didn't realize the difference the small businesses make in the nation. So net new jobs, 12.8 million new jobs. That's 65.6 or 8.4 million created by small businesses, 30.2 million small businesses in 2015, so a huge number, and 99.7% of businesses with paid employees are small businesses. 99.7%. So it's what we do here is critical because we help with what you do, right? And what you do is critical. So go on to the next slide, please. And let's talk a little bit about what we actually do. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk through some of the things that we do here, but by no means will it be all encompassing. When I get asked the question of in what ways can we help? The true answer to that is we help with whatever you need. If you need help with business plans, we're on it. And we'll hit on some of the others individually, but we have people that come in that say, I need help with this, and it's very specific. Well, we make that work. If we don't have people in-house that can handle those questions, we'll connect you with people who can. But business plans, that's certainly an area where we get a lot of requests. Business plans, primarily people write them to support loan requests, whether you're looking at getting a loan or an investor, or and even on the loan route, whether you're going to go commercial loan or relending institution or revolving loan fund or whatever. In all of those circumstances, you're going to need to have a business plan. And most people have never written a business plan. And I would say most people also aren't super used to writing in the technical way that business plans need to be written. So that's where we come in. The passion and the interest and the knowledge base of that specific industry, that comes from the client because they know the business better than we do. But we know how to write business plans. So we work with clients on getting those complete, doing the full financial projections. We normally will do 3 years, though we've gone up to 5. We get very involved in this process, essentially to whatever extent the client needs. Now, I'll say we can't take on writing every word of a business plan. That's not feasible. And we're going to talk about how many clients we work with shortly. But we work with a great deal, just a large number of clients. So plus, as I mentioned, the business owner or the person who's wanting to start a business knows this industry better. So it's great for us to work and collaborate on it and bounce it back and forth. So this is one of the things that we do regularly. I love getting to work on business plans, which I realize is weird because it's like writing an essay. Who likes writing essays? Well, I do. So, that's part of why I'm here. I do a lot of proofreading. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a former classroom teacher, and what I taught was English. So I do a lot of proofing to make sure that whenever you slide that business plan across to the banker or the potential investor, right, it's strong, it looks good, it's error-free or as error-free as humanly possible. And so that's again something we do a lot of work with. If you go on to the next slide, please. We also can help choosing the right legal entity type for the business, whether that's a sole proprietorship or a general partnership, or on the other side of the line, you've got LLCs, LLPs, PLLCs, series LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, B Corps, right? There's a ton of different types. And so we can help explain the different types and help you make the right decision, because choosing the right entity type up front is critical. And if you choose the wrong one, it's not the end of the world. It can always be converted later, but choosing it up front just makes things a whole lot easier and saves you headaches down the road. So go on to the next slide, please. We help with the registration processes, whether that's setting up an LLC or getting your FEIN. For those of you who may not be familiar with FEINs, it's a federal employer identification number. So just like your social security number identifies you as a unique individual, an FEIN identifies your business as a unique entity. The forms for sales tax, the REG1 form with the Illinois Department of Revenue, Form 8832, right, if you're going to be converting an LLC to be taxed as a C Corp. Most of these forms are not incredibly complicated, but they can be overwhelming the first time you fill them out. And so a lot of times we'll come in to help walk through the process. I do a lot through Zoom where people will share their screens as they fill them out. That way I'm present if they have any questions. But certainly this is something that we do regularly. All right, next slide, please. All right, financing. We have quite a few clients come through the door because they need financing to get their business off the ground. They need financing, because they're looking to expand, or ton of different reasons why people might be in seeking funds. And so we've helped with all of this. Again, the business plan plays into this. We have people who will put together investor pitches or pitches for potential investors, and we have templates that can help with that and the business plan as well. We've filled a room with people and have let them practice their pitch so that they can get feedback and make it better before they actually go out and do the final pitch. We do work with financial institutions. I saw that you had John Dozier on your board, and we've worked with John in the past. Quite a few. We know most of the local commercial lenders, and we can work directly with them. Of course, only with the client's permission can we ever talk about anything outside of the office, but we've done that as well. And then, of course, just getting prepared, because when you go in and sit down and have that meeting, Now, I don't know how many shots you're going to get at it, but not a ton. So you want to make sure that you're completely prepared whenever you walk into that room, and we can help with that. All right, next slide, please. I talked a little bit about doing financial projections, but that's not necessarily where it stops. That's really beneficial for startups. But for existing businesses, we've done financial analyses of their businesses, by taking in their tax returns and their finances and just sort of dissecting them. And then we have access to some great market research tools that are cost prohibitive for most small business owners, but they are provided to us, and then we can run those reports and provide them to our clients at no cost. And so this is an example of one of those reports, and I want to kind of tell you how we might use this one so you get an idea of how it might be beneficial. So someone comes in and they're in this industry. And so we can see right here that the annual growth rate for that industry has been 5.8% for the last 5 years. Well, from 2013 to 2018. So we can look at that and compare that to how their businesses grow, because we know now what the industry is doing at a national level. Also, we can break down, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but you have your fixed expenses and your variable expenses. Your variable expenses, in this case, being your cost of goods sold. It's the expenses that are tied directly to the number of sales you have. So if you're running a steak house, it's for that steak that you sell that you charge $10 for it, you might have $4 worth of ingredients in it. In that case, that would give you a 40% cost of goods sold. So we can look right here and see that in that industry, they have a 28.7% average cost of goods sold. So if theirs is 40, that's potentially a problem. And we can help try and figure out ways to get that closer to the national average. Maybe that means raising their prices. Maybe that means renegotiating with vendors. There's lots of different ways of doing it, but I just wanted to give you that example of something we would do in that financial analysis. So if you run a business and you're looking to be more profitable, or you're struggling, whatever the case might be, we're here to help with that. All right, next slide, please. So I mentioned some of our market research tools we have. We've got about a half dozen that we use regularly, where we can provide that market research to the clients. We can help with the customer discovery process, making sure they know who their target market is, knowing where they are so that their marketing dollar is more effective, making sure that the quantity of people in that market, there's enough to make a sustainable and make your business sustainable and support whatever you might need. We can look into demographics. Absolutely. We've got some great tools with that. Marketing channels, and I'm going to hit a little bit more on marketing in the next slide, but we've got 2 people on staff that are just exceptional with marketing. One actually owns his own marketing firm. And so you get access to work with someone who owns a marketing firm, and it doesn't cost you anything. And then need and feasibility. This is something that comes up regularly. I've actually done it twice this week. We'll have people that come in and say, okay, I need to run some different scenarios. What happens if I move to a larger location and my rent doubles? What happens as minimum wage is increasing and my wage dollars increase? What happens if I can get my cost of goods sold from 40% to 28.7%? And we can run these different financial scenarios and say, okay, if you increase your wages by this percentage, that's going to affect your bottom line in this way. And it would affect your break-even point in this way. And then we can look at your break-even point and say, okay, you need to clear $30,000 in net profit in order to be able to pay your personal bills. So we can look at what it would take to hit that point, both in an annual dollar amount, and then we can break it down and say, okay, sales per hour or average number of transactions you would need at this average amount. So there's lots of different ways we can help. And again, there's no cost to any of it. All right, next slide, please. All right, so marketing assistants, as I mentioned, we've got 2 people on staff that are remarkable at this. We have multiple people who have owned web design companies over the years, myself being one of them. And so we can look into websites that our clients are using, kind of do audits on that, see how those things are running. We could check the speed, we could check the search engine optimization, SEO. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with SEO, that essentially is what you have to do on your website to try to show up as high as possible on Google. And then, of course, social media guidance. We all know the importance of social media marketing right now, and we have some people that can help you get that set up. We can help you develop a plan, figure out what to post, how often to post, what platforms to use. Again, that kind of goes back to your target market, right? If your target market is me, 41-year-old guy from Southern Illinois, and you're going to use social media marketing, chances are you're using Facebook, right? Because I don't use Snapchat, I don't use TikTok. Now, other people, that fall into that category might, but we can look and see where the majority of them are, so that you can reach out to them where they already are. So as opposed to just putting your message out there to everybody, you can really focus on hitting just the right people. All right, next slide for me, please. Intellectual property. Now, this is one of my areas of expertise. I love getting to talk about intellectual property because it is so critical. Oftentimes the brand, that's the logo, those end up being the most valuable parts of your business. And then, of course, we deal with inventors who have patent ideas. We work with people who are doing copyrights, whether that's an artist or whether that's a software developer. So we can help with all of that, helping you determine, for example, a trademark. Do you want to do a registered trademark or a common law trademark? How do you do each of those? What are the costs associated with those? And we can help through that process. Also, and I'll hit on in the next slide a little bit more about working with inventors. We are prohibited from offering legal advice. And sometimes whenever we get into the patent process, that really falls into the legal advice category. And so we can connect you with an intellectual property attorney to help get those patents done, help get that registered trademark done. But certainly we can be a big part of the process. And one of the things that's really beneficial in that is every hour you spend with us and getting some of those things done ends up reducing the billable hours down the road. And I'm all about trying to save clients money as much as possible. All right, next slide, please. So as a part of working with inventors, we do have access to multiple 3D printers, both filament and resin based. We have a laser cutter in-house. And so we'll do a lot of work doing 3D modeling. I do a lot of 3D modeling where we can kind of do a proof of concept. A lot of times we can test an invention and make sure it's going to work. We've had finished products come off of our 3D printers in-house. So it's, and again, there's no cost to our work on that. Sometimes, if we're low on filament or you want a certain kind of filament, you may want to cover the cost of that, but filament's very cheap. And, the access to the 3D printers for our clients who are working on inventions is included as a part of the SBDC services. And, we have worked with manufacturers, where the files that we've developed in our offices then go on to the manufacturers, and you can skip the process, all the expense associated with getting a prototype developed. So certainly that is something that is, I think, unique to our SBDC. I'm not sure about that throughout the state, but certainly it's rare among SBDCs. So we love being able to offer that. All right, go on to the next slide, please. So, of course, as I've mentioned a few times, everything is confidential. So I've got some examples here of 3D models and things that have come off the 3D printers, only one of which was done for an actual business, because I can't show you, the things that we've actually developed in-house because that's confidential. But a couple of the things here, whenever I was learning how to do 3D modeling, I designed a 3D SIU themed 3D printed chess set. And that's what you can see here, the bishop and the rook. On the lower right, you can see we had some robots that we printed that we were able to give out in an event. Above that, that is actually a piece to a centrifuge. There is one of the businesses that was located here in Dunn Richmond. They needed a new component for their centrifuge. And so we modeled it and printed it in-house. And that way they were able to get up and running within a day, as opposed to going through a third party and having it modeled and having it designed and printed and all of that would have slowed them down and cost them a great deal. All right, next slide, please. I'm going to have to kind of speed up a little bit because, as I mentioned, I'm a little bit verbose and I've been going a little slowly. But we also do have the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, and which we call the PTAC because we don't want to say Procurement Technical Assistance Center every time. And they are also located in Dunn Richmond. Michelle Stokes is the person who's in charge of the PTAC, and she does an excellent job. So if you would go on to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about what they do. So there's a lot of information here. I'm not going to read all of it, but I just want to let you know they are focused on helping local businesses get governmental contracts. So there's a process involved in that, getting registered with SAM, getting DUNS all set up, getting your cage code. That some of those procedures are a little bit complicated, and that's what Michelle can help with. Just like the SBDC, there is no cost to anything they do, and everything is confidential. A lot of times we work back and forth where I'm working with a client that needs help with getting their business set up, but they're planning on doing governmental contracting, and so Michelle will work with them too. So you don't have to choose one center or the other. We're all here to help. So that is their primary focus. Again, you can see here there's 800 billion, more than 800 billion annually spent by federal, state, and local governments. And we want to bring as much of that to the businesses of Southern Illinois as possible. All right, next slide, please. So this is an event that the PTAC held, and it's maybe a few months ago now, but they had what they called Industry Day, and they brought in different departments and governmental entities that might be putting out RFPs, requests for proposals, as well as small business owners that may be interested in applying for or bidding on those RFPs, so that they could talk up front and have discussions about what specifically they need and how they might fit together. All right, next slide, please. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the impact that the SBDCs have, specifically our SBDCs. So on average, I would say for the last 5 years or so leading up to COVID in 2020, we worked with 300 to 400 local small businesses. But with COVID, we worked with almost 700 in 2020, which has been a great opportunity for us to try and help the businesses, because so many were negatively affected by COVID. And we helped them apply for all of the different the disaster relief programs that have come out, and there's been a ton of them. And so we've been a part of that. There were 28 businesses that we helped start in 2020, 5 expansions, we helped in the creation of 67 new jobs and the retention of 434. And we were directly involved in financing of over $16 million. And again, that's just in 2020. We do hold tons of different workshops. We trained almost 1,600 people. And it looks like 2021 is going to be just as busy as 2020. We're already up to 545 clients for this year. All right, next slide, please. So on the next slide, you will see we talked about the CARES Act funding. And as a result of that, we have been able to expand our services. And so we were able to bring people on specifically to help with COVID-related funding, as well as getting people started, getting their businesses started, and digital marketing assistance. So we looked for people that could help where our clients needed it most, and potentially where we had some gaps in our areas of expertise. All right, if you could go on actually 2 slides ahead, please. There you go. All right, so we are involved in the Community Navigator program. So for those of you who may be familiar with that, there's hubs and there's spokes. And so the hub that we work with primarily is Greater Egypt Regional Planning and Development Commission, Carrie Minnis and Jennifer Olson over there. And then we have community navigators that actually work out of our office. Jason Ziegler and Brenda Henderson both work out of here and travel out into the community and work with small business owners every day. And so what does the Community Navigator program do? Well, they meet with local businesses and help them determine if they're eligible for any of these funding opportunities and to help with the application process. There's no cost to anything they do. And again, everything that they do is confidential. So I wanted to point this out. Jennifer sent me these numbers yesterday because we're specifically talking about Jackson County here. So the application rate on the business interruption, or I'm sorry, back to business grant, the B2B that we're going to talk about on the next slide, we have a 48.3% application rate. And so out of all of the counties in Southern Illinois, and there's 28 that are considered Southern Illinois, Jackson County ranks 6th. That puts them in the top 21%. But out of the whole state, they're ranked 13th. That puts them in the top 13%. So that will let you know overall how well Southern Illinois is doing on getting these applications in, how well the Community Navigator program has been working for people, and just comparatively throughout the state, just how strong Jackson County is. All right, next slide, please. So right now, the Back to Business Grant Program is still open. And so if you are interested in that, I would encourage you to reach out to me or one of our community navigators, and I can put you in contact with the right ones. It's a great program. It's a grant program, so the funds don't have to be paid back, which is critical right now. And there are certain areas where priority is given. And so you can see here, if you haven't received any of the other programs, that gives you a higher priority. If you're located in a disproportionately impacted area, that puts you at a higher priority. If you have less than 5 million in annual revenue, or if you're in a priority industry, again, I can send that to you if that interests you. But even if you don't necessarily fit into any of those categories, we still would encourage you strongly to apply, because as Jennifer said to me the other day, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And even if you don't necessarily think you'll get it, it's a quick, easy process. And I would encourage you to do it because you never know. All right, next slide, please. And that is it for me. I went a little bit long and I apologize for that. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, or I'll put my email address here in the chat and I'll say, if you have any questions or we run out of time or there's anything you don't necessarily want to ask the whole group, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help.
Ken, excellent job. At this time, do we have any questions for Ken? Board members, participants?
Well, I'll hope that means that I covered everything.
I do have a question.
All right.
Thank you so much for being on today. I sure appreciate it. Great information you've shared.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's such a pleasure. I have a question in reference to if we have a group and would like this information given this presentation, is there a way that we could do a Zoom with you? Or I guess we could possibly share it, but it would be probably more specific to a group entity. Is that something that can be coordinated, or how would that work?
Oh, absolutely. And as you mentioned, I prefer to be able to do it either in person or through Zoom, so that we can customize it based on what that group might need specifically. So yeah, please send me an email. I'm happy to help with that. Also, if they're looking just more for like general startup information, we do have a monthly Starting Your Business in Illinois workshop that we do, and we do that in person usually, but we also have a recorded webinar that I put together, and I'm the one who teaches it. And whenever we built it, we tried to make it as interactive as a canned program possibly could be. So it's got a ton of resources that are available. So again, I'm happy to do something customized, or if they're interested in attending the Starting Your Business in Illinois workshop, information on when those are offered can be found on our website, which is sbdc.siu.edu, and I'll throw that in the chat as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You're a walking encyclopedia of information. We sure appreciate you.
Thank you. And I realized that I sent out my email address only to the panelists, so I'm fixing that now.
Ken, we have a question for you. Wanting to know if there is any assistance for starting non-for-profits.
Excellent question. So the SBDCs are focused primarily on for-profit businesses, but I mean, jobs are still created as a result of nonprofits. Good things still happen in our region as a result of nonprofits. I mean, I believe SIH is a nonprofit. Look how many people they employ. So I will tell you our knowledge base is deeper when it comes to for-profit entities, but we are still happy to help. So if there's something that you need, we're happy to help as much as we possibly can, and then connect you to people who can help further beyond that.
Excellent. Ken, from my perspective, we are truly blessed here in Jackson County to have you and Lynn and your entire team at the SBDC. You are certainly a critical asset for economic development for Jackson County and for all of Southern Illinois. To some degree, it seems as if 48% in Jackson County of small businesses making application. That's great. But to some degree, I feel like there's maybe a hesitancy from our rural areas of the county and Southern Illinois to come to the big university, right?
Sure.
Would you entertain the idea of me bribing you with lunch and perhaps taking you around to a few of our smaller towns, if I can gather some business owners and entrepreneurs, and then kind of doing a small presentation like you've done for us today about the services that are offered?
Absolutely. And no
Great.
bribe necessary, though I'd love to have lunch with you. Yeah, I would love to do that. I'm always looking for ways to get out in the community and work with business owners. I'm open to going to them where they are, as opposed to, like you said, there may be some hesitance about coming here, and we don't want that. We can make that work. You just let me know.
Okay, well, we may work on that. All right, let's move on then if we can. Any other questions for Ken? Ken, fantastic job.
Thank you all again so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you.
Okay, well, then let's move on then to our community leader updates. That includes, our board members and panelists and anyone else who would like to join in. Here we're just going to take a few minutes to ask if you have anything that you'd like to share that's going on in your business community and or struggles or questions that you may have for our panelists. Does anybody have any updates, any observations?
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Dr. Sherman, thank you. I saw in the chat about broadband, and I just wanted to say that the county is aware of that, and we're looking to use some resources possibly through the ARP funding to address that, to do some hopefully partnering with the state, because there is basically, if we bring a portion, the state will bring the other portion. So if we can get that going, we are looking into that, and also bringing on board someone that is a specialist to focus exclusively on broadband for the county overall. So hopefully that'll help us out to potentially bring individuals to our county and community, because we have that as a resource. And, if people are looking for something like that when they're seeking out jobs, career opportunities, we want to be one of those, because we are in a rural area. And so we're hoping to bring individuals to Southern Illinois, but more specifically Jackson County.
Excellent, Tomiko. Thank you for that. That's very important. And I couldn't agree with you more that broadband is a critical component of infrastructure. And for us to grow in our business areas, as well as retain what we have to continue to improve broadband. For those of you who are attending, you can also raise your hand if you are not a panelist, so we can get to you. Jennifer, could you go ahead and go to our last slide then? We have about a minute left. The very last slide, which I can hit membership as well. That would be, here it is. It tells a little bit about membership. If you're interested in joining JGA, as well as some of our giving levels, we would love to have you. My contact information is here as well. So please reach out to me. Consider joining JGA and the work that we're doing. If there are any other questions, let's go ahead and entertain them now. If not, we are at our 1 hour mark. Do I see any other questions? I don't see any right now. I can't thank all of you enough for being a part of today's webinar. Ken, thank you. Kim, thank you so much. To the board members of JGA, you are making a difference. I can't thank you enough either. Please, everyone, have a great day and enjoy your rest of your day. Remember, we're recorded, so you can always go back and visit the information. There was a lot of it. Great. Thank you.